And we're back. It's episode number 6 of the Brain Trust. We got the crew in the house, fellas. How are you doing? Tom, Jess, good to see you again.
Hello.
Tom has upgraded. Well, he upgraded from a bedroom to a brick wall, and for a little bit had a mansion going. And then the mansion is now, you got evicted. You got evicted.
I did.
All right, so he's back down to a brick wall. But super stoked to welcome our guest, Mr. Corey Eyring, to the stage.
Hello.
How you doing, sir?
How's it going, guys? Thanks for having me.
Good day, sir.
So, guys, I have bad news. I got to start us with the bad
Uh-oh.
news. It's going to be all uphill from there. Originally, this live stream, we had 4.8 million people waiting to view it. But then I realized
The stream crashed?
Well, here's what happened. There's
Yes.
an overlap with UFC 300. They must have all been pay-per-view members that were
Okay.
waiting for that fight, so they've all left. So,
All right, that's where you just come out guns blazing. UFC, you Dana. Let's go with the podcast. This is number 1, and that's how you create a bunch of beef. This is going trending on Twitter, and we're off to the races.
we definitely want to call out the UFC.
Yeah,
The guy
just call out the UFC. This is great.
we want to
going out. We're just going guns blazing, shoot for the top. I love it.
Yeah, if you're gonna call someone out, you should probably call out the people who have spend their entire lives training to destroy someone in combat. Yeah, let's
that
call them
seems
out.
like the best executive decision that we can make on this podcast.
Absolutely. All right, so we're gonna get into this thing. Can't wait to catch up with you. Been a while since we talked, and at the end of this live stream, I have a challenge for you. Gonna offer you $100 if you can beat the challenge. I almost offered you more, because I felt so confident that you wouldn't be able to do it.
Make
but
it
then I was like,
if you're so confident, make it 1,000.
well, that's where I almost did offer you $1,000, and I'm really tempted to do it. I'll make it 500 right now. I'm gonna 5x $500.
Oh,
if you
fair.
can correctly do it.
Okay.
All right. That'll be the challenge at the end. All right.
I'm actually staying at my buddy Nick's house. Are you familiar with On Tilt? He's right out of frame.
Okay. You want to wave? Nick, what's up?
Yeah, Eric. This is Eric, On Tilt Eric. You want to come in frame? What's up?
Hey, what's up, y'all?
Hey, what's going on? Well, welcome to the stream. Is there anybody you'd like to call out? We started by calling out the UFC. We're wondering anybody you want to call out or fight.
A bunch of beef so that we can go trending on Twitter. Do you have anyone that you have beef with or want to?
Amanda Nunez. I would like some beef with her. Sure.
Okay.
You can't take me one-on-one. That's totally cap. She can absolutely annihilate me.
I would like to call out Margot Robbie. I have a lot of problems with you. If you would like to hit me on the DMs, we can solve that immediately. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Now that we got all that out in the air, let's start this thing. So we were.
All right, buddy. I'll catch you in like 20 minutes.
All right.
Hey, thanks for saying hey.
Get lost, buddy.
Hey, don't you talk to my captor like that.
My captor. All right. So before the stream, actually, let me back up to this point. So Jess is the one on screen here who originally introduced me to your channel, and it was, I don't know, I don't remember the exact, it was probably a year and a half, something like that. And he was like, hey, you got to check this one out. We were talking different channels. He's like, you got to check this one out. He said, whether you like the poker or not, this guy's personality is fire. And I said, okay, I'll check it out. And I watched it, and I thought, okay, I'm super entertained by what you're saying. Love all this stuff. But while I was watching the poker, I thought to myself, the poker's okay. But I thought, I really watch it for the personality. And I would make it halfway through, and I'd be like, all right, I'm going to go on and I'm going to watch something else. And now you've got to the point where you had a change, where you said, I'm going to tell a story. And ever since you've done
this
that,
conversation that we had last year.
We did.
Off stream. I remember I told you the moment that it all changed, and now we've actually seen it come to fruition.
Yeah, and you were 100% correct. And it's cool because now an episode comes out. I click on it. I'm never cutting out halfway through. I'm just like,
that's awesome.
I'm like, come on, dude. What happens next?
Yeah.
This last one with your cliffhanger where you're like, all right, should I put the bankroll on it? Let me press this elevator button. Let's go. Elevator roulette. And I'm like, let's go. Come on. What's going to happen?
Dude. That's
End
awesome.
of the episode?
I remember the conversation we had last year, which we had it off stream. But I remember telling you the episode that changed everything was I might quit poker. I fundamentally shifted my approach of how I create an episode. It went from a poker vlog to a vlog about poker, because when I looked at my catalog on my channel, there was lacking individuality from project to project. And that's across every person in our space. I think the thumbnails are the same, the titles are the same, and the subject matter, the broad idea, to put it in Mr. Beast terminology, is so hyper specific to our specialized niche that it's just not reaching that many people. So I said, how do I broaden this idea so that it encapsulates the interest of a broader audience, and therefore more people would be interested? So I try to tone down the poker a little bit, introduce more of me as a person, and how does poker influence the life of the creator. I think that's where the individuality comes in, and that's kind of what a YouTuber has always been. I look up to Casey Neistat, Emma Chamberlain, Ryan Trahan. These guys are great at making videos about their life and whatever subject they're making, how it influences them as a creator. That's what I think YouTube is about.
Dude, and you've really knocked it out of the park recently. It's been cool. But so I didn't realize this until we were talking a little bit before we started here. And man, I had no idea that you were on YouTube before this. I don't know how excited you are to be like, hey, I've got all this other stuff you can go watch.
Sure.
But
I'm super excited to just be on this podcast. I loved what we did last year, and there's so much has changed. I'm ready to get into whatever you want.
Yeah, this is great. So give us just a little bit, because I had no idea you had this background before you started the poker channel. Tell us, like, what was YouTube like up to this point before you said, I'm going to do poker, and why jump into poker?
Sure. So the video that actually changed everything is Rampage uploaded a video saying my 2021 earnings on YouTube. I clicked that video expecting it to have, maybe earn 20,000, 30,000 in revenue. He said so nonchalantly, yeah, I just made like 180K in AdSense. And I was like, buddy, what the I'm doing something wrong. And that in that legit same day, the seed was planted to start a poker vlog, because the monetization is so much higher than what I used to do. I used to be a gamer on Rainbow Six Siege, where I would take the funniest moments of what my friends and I would talk about and then just compile that into a video. That was my job for 4 years straight out of high school.
So what you're saying is your intentions and your motivations were pure.
Sure.
Purely about the money. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. So, okay. So at that point you decide you're going to jump into poker, and how did you, cause I feel like you got to a point, you hit a wall, and you tell me about what that was like. We kind of barely touched on it last time, but now that you can reflect on it, tell me about that moment a little bit.
Which wall are you referring to?
Well, when you're like, hey, man, I might quit. I remember talking last time. You're kind of like, yeah, we
right.
were kind of doing the same thing over and over again. It wasn't really that exciting or going anywhere. Now you can reflect on that moment. So tell me a little bit what that was like to get to that and then to move beyond it.
Yeah. Last year was, I think everything happened. The turning point happened within the span of April to May of 2023. That was when I went to Los Angeles. I played in Hustler Casino 5-10-20. Got it in with top set against the flush draw. We ran it twice, and I lost both boards. That moment, it was probably a $6,000 or $7,000 pot. I think I'd lost like $5K myself in that hand. It was a $10K pot. Just some absurd number to me at the time, where I was normally playing 2-5 with a $1,000 buy-in. So that moment made me sit in my car and become super introspective about, what are we doing here? This is not something that I really enjoy. I went back home to my parents' house back in New Hampshire, ended up getting the flu, was hospitalized for 2 weeks. I had the flu for 2 weeks, got hospitalized. It was a shit show, but it kind of felt like it was when it rains, it pours. That was a really bad time for me. I didn't know where I wanted to go creatively. I didn't feel fulfilled. Poker was not going well, and everything was just going like this. So I didn't want to keep doing something that I wasn't enjoying. So I said, it. If I never upload a YouTube video again, let me just make something for me personally. and that was the I Might Quit Poker video, where I just showed me going on a run, chasing a bunny rabbit for 6 minutes, and cursing at an oak tree. And so
that's what people want.
Yeah, that was the start where I just threw everything that I thought would work and did something that I wanted to do. And that video was my #1 performing video at the time. And that was actually during the same time where that video was authentic. I was genuinely going to quit. That was going to be the last video that I ever uploaded on that channel, on Corey Eyring on the channel. I called my grandmother and said, Grandma, I'm done gambling. And she said, oh, thank God. I'm so glad you're done with gambling. You can just get a job, blah, 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 blah. Fast forward a week, that video blows up. And I call my grandma back and I say, Grandma, we're back.
Bad news.
Yeah. Great news, but also you're not going to like it.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. So now that you've like really started to put your bankroll on the line, it seems seems to me as an outside observer, I want to hear what you think, but it seems to me that like poker has become really secondary, and it's like, okay, I'm not going to worry about what happens at the table. This is allowing me to tell a story, which is allowing the content to be like, you can't look away. And so how much are you, your bankroll's on the line every video pretty much. How much are you thinking to yourself, like, holy crap, if this doesn't go well, I'm broke, versus, dude, this is making great content. It doesn't really matter if I go broke. I'm going to find a way to keep it going.
Sure. This might come from a sense of me being naive. I don't want to spoil anything, but yes, it's authentic, and yes, it's everything that I own. We're behind right now, but whenever I sit at the table, I obviously want to make great videos, but I realize that it totally shifts how my approach to each hand, because I can't afford to buy in again. Speaking of buying in, this guy on tilt, Nick, I'm saying it his crib. Yeah, get the angles right. Get the angles right.
How we doing?
I'm saying.
Hey, what's going on?
Nick's, hello,
people.
This is. We have like 20 people over right now. It's basically a party. I'm just in a back room, sitting crisscross applesauce on the carpet, conducting this interview.
He told us don't crash the interview. I'm trying to act good, boys. I swear to God.
But okay, we'll come back to that question.
Okay, all right.
But I'm staying here for a little bit. I actually stayed with my buddy Nick for a month during January. He's played a big role, I'd say, in the series, where it's more of just kind of friends having a good time. And I really wanted to encapsulate the authentic emotions of how it is between friends, because I think that's what people relate to, and that's personally what I want to watch. So I think if I enjoy it, then other people probably will too, if that makes sense.
Yep. Huh. Yeah, it's cool. So on the bankroll question, I was excited to talk to you about this, because I watched the live stream of this occurring, then I watched your episode of it occurring. And there's a moment where you get bluffed by what does he go by? T1000, right?
Yep, that's JC.
The five deuce hand, and it was hard to watch because
hard to watch. It was hard to experience, brother. I was in shambles.
Well, so this is what I was going to ask you. Is like I recognize that when the moment that you took that chip out and you said, yes, this is everything I own, something clicked in his brain. He's like, all right, we're going for it. I'm going to put him to the test. And he did. I mean, so good for the stream, so good for your channel. But what was that moment like when because it was so hard. It was so hard from this side. I want to hear what it was like on your side.
There's a lot. It's very hard for him to have value in as played, because he checked turn, checked river. Sure, you could have pocket queens, or sure, if he has 5 deuce, you could make the argument he has 4-3 or 7-4 or queen 4 or some obscure bull. But it's very hard to. Thank you, sir.
Nice word.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
All right, I'm a boogie.
All right.
Hey, y'all rock out, boys.
On Tilt Poker, go subscribe. Kid's a genius. It was very hard to to come up with hands that we're losing to. So in theory, it's just a call. But everyone in the comment section ripped me apart for that hand. They're like, no. And mind you, most of these players are probably playing at their local casino in a 1-2 buy-in for half the max. And they're like, oh, yeah, buddy, I would have snap called $7,000. I would just put 6 months of rent straight in the middle. Yeah. And it's like, you don't understand. I can't reload. If I have $20,000 behind, snap call, click it, take the money. I don't have money. The bankroll element is that's why bankroll management is critical to success in poker, because you need to be able to withstand the swings of the day-to-day. That's not the case with this series, because if I make one wrong decision, we're out for 2 months. Do you guys have a dealing job?
So, yeah, I was thinking in that moment, let's say you have like bottom set there instead.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't really change the situation. The situation is he's telling you like, hey, I have a monster. I have that hand that's going to crush you. And I can't imagine thinking of like my entire bankroll right now, having to have all of that at risk in that one hand. I would fold too. And I don't blame you at all, but I figured it had to be a miserable experience.
As soon as that hand happened, I went outside and talked to the camera and I said, I think I had the best hand. He didn't show. I thought I had the best hand, but the implications of going broke, it's so much harder to come back from having legitimately nothing. I can't buy in. I can't even go play 1-2. How are we going to navigate moving forward if I call and I'm incorrect? Yeah. So that's what I think a lot of people don't understand, or at least are just not consciously recognizing.
Well, and it's one thing to sit in your underpants, like sitting behind your computer and be like, I would have called. It's easy. But when you're sitting at the table and all of your money is on the line,
it's
so
like
different.
It's like me. I can relate in some sense. I've been on Netflix watching a horror film, and there's people walking into a cabin, and we see the foreshadowing because they cut to the killer. Oh, I guess 4th of July. Godspeed. God bless America.
But I don't know what you just did there.
No idea. I have no idea. But we, as the audience, can see the killer in the next room. So we're like sitting on the couch with a fat stomach, sitting there holding a Cheeto bag with dust on our fingertips. Oh, yeah, I would never get killed in this situation. But when you're actually in it, you're going to your pants and you're going to die. You're going to meet the same fate that character is. So It's much different in reality versus your thoughts. Yeah. Most of the people who think you're him, you're not that guy, pal. You're just not that guy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, brutal spot, but it's cool to hear your thoughts. All right, I'm going to shift gears just a little bit. So everybody that I know tons of people that follow your channel, and I think kind of what I was saying and what Jess told me, like, hey, you got to check this guy out. His personality is so fun to watch. I'm curious, did you have a moment in your life where you're like I'm kind of a funny guy, or like, hey, I've got a pretty good sense of humor? Like, did that set in, or were you just, this is the way I've always been? I've heard people, even comedians, I've heard them say like there was a moment where it clicked, like, oh, I'm a funny guy.
Well, growing up, there was a period of my life where I was overweight. So it was either I was overweight and short. So either I get bone extensions or develop a personality. And I chose the latter. So I think anyone can be funny. It's just, you can break it down to a science. I think a lot of it is just timing, delivery, and wording. I think it's a science, really.
Yeah. You have great presentation. And last time we talked, you said, hey, I just try to recap these hands like I'm just telling a story to a friend. And you still do. You've just elevated it to a new level that it's even more fun to watch.
Thank you.
So, yeah. Okay, so now I'm curious. I want to look. We talked kind of like what you used to do, what you've done now, what you're currently doing. But where do you see this thing going? Like, I've already seen the shift in other people's poker vlogs. Like, other people's poker vlogs went from like, here, I'm just making this thing, here's the hands, to I'm watching them be like, all right, that's fun to watch. I'm going to come up with a challenge or a story to tell. And I think it's good for the poker vlogging community.
Yeah.
But what do you see ahead? What do you see next?
This is a really fun question. So I I noticed that last year I wrote in my journal three main issues with poker vlogs. The commentary is monotonous and boring. The graphics are not that visually appealing. There's no cinematography, photography. It's just boring to look at. And the timing is just off. So bad hands, bad skill. Okay. Overview: skill, production, comedy. I think those are the three elements of a poker vlog that I aim to tick off each box. So I just took a sip of a White Claw and completely forgot your question.
Okay, so I'm asking you where you think you're going in the future. So you were pointing out kind of the things that are wrong, and then how do we beat those challenges?
Okay, so I've been studying a lot of the technical elements of film. That's how I try to increase the production value. But where we're going in the future, that's the interesting part.
Yeah.
So I think I've already made this clear that at the end of the year, I want to have 500,000 and gamble it all on one spin of roulette. Either I walk away with $1 million or nothing at all.
Oh man,
that's the premise. So Jason Somerville, shout out to him. We actually met late last year, and it started to fall into place around February of this year. But he's helped me so much along the way in terms of doing a lot of the back end for me. I would love to work with him to kind of orchestrate this big event. This is still very early in the process, but I would like to, in an ideal world, host an event where 500 people can come watch me actually spin it. So maybe we'll sell tickets for $20 a pop or something. But maybe we can partner or sponsor with a casino to host that event that we can live stream it, make it a spectacle. December 31st, right when the ball drops for New Year's, we spin the thing around and
for $500,000. Jeez.
For $500,000, and we'll see where the ball lands.
That'd be pretty wild.
Yeah.
How are you? I mean, I can't imagine that video would just go ballistic.
Mm.
So how much are you thinking? You kind of have this weird balance right now. I watched part of your interview where you were talking about in one of your episodes. You're like, yeah, I've got all this credit card debt and all this stuff.
Yep.
But the momentum is like you're looking way into the future beyond where you're at.
Correct.
So how sustainable is what you're currently doing, and then how easily do you see yourself getting to the next stage? Because the momentum building seems to be so great that you're not going to have to worry about it. But I'm sure right now you're feeling it a little bit. So how do you feel that balance right now? I
don't focus on the day-to-day. I'm always looking. So the way I described it when I was in Las Vegas is, in terms of my finances, it feels like I have a gun pointed directly at my head, and I'm just looking. I'm just looking past the barrel. So I'm not even acknowledging that there's a gun here. I'm $13K in debt. Put down the gun, brother. I'll get it. I got you. Just give me 5 months. So I'm betting everything on myself that we're going to turn this into a grand show. I want to produce an entire series like a Netflix show. That's why the titles are the same. Because when you go to watch Suits on Netflix, they don't change the title. It's just Suits, season 1, episode 7. So
Yep.
I'm creating a series, and I want to document how I go from 0 to $1 million. In terms of finances, I'm just betting on myself. I believe in myself. I don't want to spoil anything, but I do have a lot of current debt that I can't necessarily pay right now. So we're just going all in. Here's another thing. I think in life, a lot of this isn't just some whimsical decision. I've thought about this for a long time. We're all going to die one day. And so sitting with that, I was like, if I'm either way this plays out, I'm going to end up 6 feet under the dirt. So I might as well play a game that's worth remembering. So my goal is to just live life and create I want to play the greatest game of life that I can possibly conceive or conceptualize. And this is the next step for me. It's not my end goal, but this is the next step.
I love it. I've heard some interviews with like people who have really made it and have become really wealthy. And a lot of them talk about this interim period where they're like, I had a job. I was doing okay. I went all in. I was up to my eyeballs in debt and didn't know how I was going to make it. And now here I am and I'm worth millions and millions.
Yeah.
And Jess, you have a thought? I see you.
Yeah, I think it's my computer fan that's kind of whirring, so you'll have to excuse that. But I mean, kind of what I was thinking, Corey, was, kind of what this is just my perspective, but I see you more as like a storyteller that's playing poker. And, what you've been doing, it's like on my end as a YouTube watcher, watching your content, it's like, it's like I have a good friend, who's really honest and open, so I feel like I know him. And he's on this high-speed chase, that's likely not going to end well. I can't turn away. I can't turn away from the guy. He's my friend, right? So I got to see what happens. And, but also like, this is my hope. That kind of is like on the other side of this is that, even with this year being like, what, whatever we get, we're going to put it on the roulette wheel. Like I remember, I think in December when you had the, you were showing like, hey, my channel's growing. I'm making income here. That, like, maybe you are. I'm wondering if you're more of like a YouTube creator, like you were saying, and kind of like that your YouTube income is what really is gonna be like is really what's gonna support you in the long run. Like the poker, the ins and outs, like you could break even, down a little, up even, but the YouTube channel is really like your identity, like who you are. So what are your thoughts on all that?
I think YouTube is going to play a big part of how we get to 500K at the end of the year. But that's the beauty of building a business.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it's pretty wild. I love when I think about it, Jess and I and Tom, like we talk a lot about bankroll management, and
which I'm very well versed in.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, yeah, just so like we're talking about, how many buy-ins do you want to have and how much money is behind and how do you play with confidence so that you can make the right decision at the table. Yeah. And then we watch and all of us watch your channel and we're all just like, come on, then what happens? Then what? And like it's a side of us that I think like, well, I don't do it. It's really enjoyable to watch you do it because it's like, wow, it's really entertaining and interesting.
I think there's a bunch of rules, and I think we jot all the rules down on a notebook, and then I take the notebook and light it on fire.
Yeah, you
throw
do.
it to the side. Just get rid of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think I applied the same philosophy fundamentally to life, which I don't recommend doing this because it can be quite destructive and I think non-productive in a very large way. But I think if you're going to take a risk in life, it's better to do it young because most people are still in college at this point with $100,000 of debt from a collegiate degree that they might not even use in the next job or ever.
Yeah.
So if I'm going to capitalize on my youth, let's take a big risk financially now. If it works, great. I'll be set for life. If it doesn't, let's just pick it up. But in my head, I've planned everything out to a T. I think I heard something a while ago that said success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. If you are moving towards your goal, then you're successful. But the founding principle of that is having a goal and knowing exactly what you want. So defining that, there was a long period of time where I sat with myself and said, what do I really want? And the answer was kind of what led me to forming this big kind of spectacle that we're now taking on.
Yeah, I've really been wanting to ask you this ever since we scheduled this interview. But in one of your recent episodes, you're talking about how you got deep. I don't know what the moment was, but you captured it and you decided to share it, and I thought it was good. You're like,
Thank
hey,
you.
life is essentially a giant game. And you're talking about, is it the Mayans or the Aztecs that used to hit the ball through the thing and then kill the other team that lost or whatever?
Yeah.
Like, you're like, it's a little less intense than that. But you had this great discussion where you said there's all this stuff that we're like focused on this surface level.
Mhm.
And you said, if I misquote you, correct me. But you said, I don't want to miss all of this if there's more down here that I'm not paying attention to.
Yeah.
Tell me about that. How did you arrive at that point where you're having this thought? And then what do you think? Like, do you feel like, hey, there's some here and I'm finding what's below it? Or
I was scrolling on TikTok aimlessly, watching Addison Rae hit the low. And I was like, what am I doing with my life here? This is not productive.
yeah.
Like, how is this? There's been all of these great figures. Alexander the Great conquers Egypt in 2 months, and I'm just sitting scrolling on TikTok. They're human, so am I. If they can play such a great game, then what the hell am I doing here? It made me... so there's obviously rules of life that we can't define to our knowledge, like gravity. But I think society is actually a game that we've created ourselves, where we create the parameters of how we're supposed to operate from a day-to-day perspective. And I think I've tried to take those rules, which I think most of them are, quite frankly, I fundamentally disagree with a lot of the societal norms.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. One of them, I guess I was just sitting one day and I thought to myself, what's the most important thing? Time or money? They say time is money. And people work 50 years at a job they hate to earn $20 an hour to support their life. So money is necessary. It's a necessary component of life. But money is useless outside the confines of reality. But time is something that's irreplaceable and we can't reverse.
Yep.
So, but we're willing to give up 50 years of our time for $20 an hour or for money. So we're giving up time for money, which if we're giving up one for the other, then we're prioritizing money in some regard, which I fundamentally reject. I kind of put it on its head. I want to prioritize my time. I don't care how much money it takes. I'll earn the money. I'll figure out how to earn the money. I think necessity breeds greatness. And we've seen 100 different examples of that throughout society, throughout time. Again, I am 2 tequila shots deep and a White Claw, so forgot the question already, brother. But
no, preach, man. You're onto something here. It's fun. Fun to hear. And I agree with you that we spend so much, like, I think what society tells us is, it says, all right, you're going to go through school to prepare to go to a higher education, to figure out what job you want to have so that you can work that job for 40 years. And then at the end of it, if you've invested well, saved well, all that stuff, you can retire and you get this much at the end of your life to do whatever you want. And it's free time. And then society tells you, drink 2 tequilas and a White Claw and try to explain that to people. No, but I really agree with you that I think that's something that we buy into as a whole. Mm-hmm. But I'm with you. I think that the time is worth, for example, I'm offered often at work overtime pay to come in, right? Hey, come on in. We need somebody. We'll pay you overtime to be here. And I say, hey, if you have nobody else, I'll show up. If you have somebody else, I'd rather hang with my family because my kids are this age one time, right? My family is the way it is right now one time, and I don't get it back. So you have to really, I don't want to make that trade. And so I love hearing when you say like, hey, I have time. I don't want to trade it for that McDonald's job or whatever. Not that that's where you would work, but yeah, whatever it is, to hear you say that, I actually find it refreshing. It's cool to hear.
Thank you. And that's not to disparage the effort of any of the workers, because I understand that they're fundamental to society and we need people to fill these jobs that are critical for our society to function.
Yeah.
But I just did some internal searching. I was like, I don't want to live my life this way. If I'm 80 years old and I play the game how I wanted to play it, and I came up short, I'd rather try to play a magnificent game and come up short than play it safe and live with regret.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. So we're going to shift gears a little bit, but you've been playing all these home games, and in the home games you're playing.
Wizards.
Yeah, you're playing Wizards. So I'm reading this book by Alex Fitzgerald, and he's talking about, like, yes, you want to be able to beat the casino game, beat the rake, all that stuff, but the goal, this end goal, this sweet, like, thing to get to is to find, like, a good home game full of, like, rich people who can afford to lose the money and are very casual and just enjoy it and play it profitably. And I thought, you found the home game. You just found the absolute wrong home game to be involved in.
To be fair, it is a game, and it's happening inside a home.
Yeah, and the people have a lot of money. So you've checked every box other than unskilled recreational.
Yeah.
That, like, when you that last stream you had in the home game, I'm trying to recall his name now, that coaches Negreanu.
MJ.
Yeah. So I've watched some of his stuff, and I'm like, dude, this is like, they're playing pretty loose. You can tell they're kind of playing around.
Yeah.
But, like, that's a crusher, dude. Like, and all those people at that table, like, what does it feel like to get invited, know your bankroll's on the line, and know that's your competition?
To be fair, I was so arrogant and one-track minded. I was like, what? Who are these guys? They study? Sure, I'll beat them. So I didn't even know who he was. I had no idea this was Daniel Negreanu's coach. I just came in there. I isolated him with jack-handed diamonds. Who the f*** am I said, oh, you're limping every hand? That's clearly not a winning strategy. 25? Nah. 100. And then I just proceed to blast off into two people who are much more studied than I. I think a lot of it is just sheer not overconfidence. I just believe in myself. And I also want to challenge myself and play against the best, because to be the best, you have to beat the best.
Yeah, true.
Do I think that's the best way to make money playing poker? Absolutely not. Would I do it again? Absolutely. I think finding a soft game is, again, probably the best way to proceed if you're trying to make money.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, game selection is key, and your game selection was pretty wild there. But how cool to get to sit in there. Yeah, definitely questionable. All right, Jess and Tom, I want to throw to you guys. What questions do you have? What thoughts do you have for Corey?
Jess, do you want to go first, or shall I? Me? Okay. All right. So so this is going to sound, first of all, I'm going to say I come from the chess world. And
I like chess.
And what you're doing is sort of like what I did maybe 40 years ago. I quit university. I moved across, I live in Canada. I moved from Vancouver, which is West Coast, to Ontario, where most of the good chess players were. And I just decided I was going to devote myself to playing chess. And eventually I became like the third ranked player in the country.
That's awesome.
And even though it didn't, I mean, it's not like poker, there's really no money in it, but I don't regret it. 40 years later, I'm like, well, they can't take that away from me.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So I understand where you're coming from. Now, there are a couple of big differences though. Okay. So big difference number one is, and I notice this in poker a lot, that a lot of people who play poker don't really seem to like poker, or like they don't find it fulfilling in the same way that like a chess player would. I know lots of chess players, of course, and if I had like 500 lifetimes, I could see myself playing chess like all 500 of those lifetimes. Like maybe that makes me just like stupid and like, you know, kind of an OCD idiot or something. But I just get the sense like people are using poker as a transition to do the thing they really want to do. Right? Do you think that's the case?
For some people, maybe.
It just seems like there's just so many of them. It's like the first, like they use poker as a way to get money. And then once they got money, they're like, okay, I'm out of here. I'm going to go start my own business or do whatever. Like they don't seem to stick around.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a matter of fulfillment. I at the end of the day, poker is a card game. It's similar in my eyes to rummy or Go Fish or War or any card game that you play with your family at the dinner table. Now, poker might be a little bit more intricate, and you're not going to check raise bluff your mother, but
well, I would if she fold.
Oh, she's fold. She's in it for sure. My mother's definitely in it. She's risk averse. But I think poker can be. I think it just comes down to fulfillment. So some people might find poker really fulfilling, and that's kind of the question internally that I ask myself when it comes to, for in your case, chess, or for LeBron James, the NBA, Michael Jordan. Are sports? This comes back to the question that Sean asked. What is the meaning of life? What is the meaning of your life? And I think that's up to the individual to decide. How do you want to devote your life, and what do you want out of this game? I don't think poker is my end goal. I really enjoy the game personally, and I will continue to play it probably throughout my life. But who knows? Maybe in a decade, maybe in 4 years, I'd like to have the potential to explore whatever avenue I wish to pursue.
Yeah.
I think it's possible I think intergalactic space travel is possible. I think, if you just look at how much we've accomplished technologically in the past decade, let alone 100 years, I think it's possible. And, I would maybe like to start studying physics, space travel, stuff like that, but I need the money to do that. So we'll see where it ends up. But again, I don't think YouTube is my end goal. It's just the next step in my life's journey.
Really quick before we move on, do you find, because I'll speak for myself really quick, and then you can tell me if I'm an idiot or if you agree.
Don't think you're an idiot.
Well, you haven't heard yet. Give me a chance.
Sure, yeah. Prove that I'm wrong. Prove your idiocy.
Well, so YouTube has this is my experience of YouTube. It has this really interesting balance of like, it can be really fun and engaging, and it can bring a lot of like energy, and it can be fun. I think, like Tom, Jess, I know these guys because of YouTube. I know you because of YouTube. Like, it's been this really cool thing in my life. There are also moments, which I'm sure you've experienced, where you're like, I got to edit again. I got to sit down and film again. I got, where I would say 90% of the time I enjoy it. And there's 10% where I'm like, whew, I don't want to sit in front of that computer anymore. Like I'm done. I want to go outside and take a walk or whatever. So how are you finding that the YouTube is enjoyable, and that like you were talking about like what you enjoy pursuing? Do you feel like that is currently what you enjoy pursuing, or are there times where you're like, dude, I'm done with this. This is burning me out?
There are a lot of times I conceptualize that emotion as the wall.
Sure.
I run into 100 walls every video. My job is to find a way to get over the next wall, and the next wall, the next wall, the next wall. Whether that's by just simply punching it down, climbing over it, looking around it. All of these walls are just temporary restrictions that are standing in the way of me accomplishing and reaching my goal. Marcus Aurelius said, I'm probably paraphrasing here. Again, we're still 2 shots deep here, and a White Claw that is very much simmered into the esophagus, into the stomach. We're not going to get this one right. He said, impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way.
Mm.
So these walls, they're actually helping me. These are a necessary restriction, because in me climbing over this wall, I'm bettering myself. I'm becoming a stronger version that is actually now capable to accomplish what I wanted to do. And in the editing case, if I'm burnt out mentally, or if I'm fatigued, or if I just don't have an idea, finding ways to get this done. So for instance, in this last video that I did with T1000, where he bluffed me with the 5 deuce, I experimented so much with audio mixing. There's 5 layers of audio in that clip. There's the live commentary, there's post commentary, the commentators, music, and all of that is interlaced with and I fade music, fade it in, fade it out. So there's 4 audio levels just going like this throughout. And it's synonymous with music in a sense. where that's a lot of what people don't really see the back end. So I am putting a lot of time into each production. This one probably took 100 hours plus. So when all the comments are like, buddy, you don't have a goddamn clue what you're doing. You have a big opportunity and you're squandering it. I'm like, I'm trying to make the best production that I possibly can. This is my entire life. I don't go out. I don't spend that much time with friends. I actually just hired my buddy Eric to be my videographer. I owe a lot. I'm in debt currently, but I'm taking a chance and I'm willing to go deeper into the hole of debt to bring someone on that I think will make better videos. And I'm just betting on myself that it will work out in the end.
Yeah. To share so that people, if you're not out there and you've never done YouTube before, I liken it to this. Like, I remember being in high school and my youth pastor that we'd show up and do youth group and stuff. I remember being like, oh, I love his job. Like, all you do is like, you know, you prepare this thing once a week and then you got games and fun and da-da-da. I'm like, oh, yeah. I remember helping him and preparing everything along the way and being like, oh, okay, maybe this isn't the most fun job in the world. Like, it's a lot of work. And YouTube, I think, is perceived the same way. Like, oh, what do you film yourself and you put a video out there, but hundreds of hours of work. How many, I don't know many people that are putting in that level of grind at their daily job, trying to make it somewhere else. I know a lot of business owners that are, and that's essentially what you're doing. And so, kudos to you for putting it in. And for everybody out there, if you've never done this side of it, there's a lot to it. It's very, very challenging.
Thank you. Yeah. It is a job in the technical term. It's generating revenue and it's scaling. So it's very much a business.
Yeah.
But I've meditated on the idea of what do I want to accomplish with my life. And it's not really a job in the sense that I hate it.
Right.
You love it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, but I guess my point is you're putting in energy, actively pursuing a return. That's essentially what a business is. For sure. But it's seen often as like, oh, this guy's just being a goofball and he's just doing whatever he wants and filming it. Like, it's not.
It's to their credit, I am.
Correct.
There's almost this layer that they don't see of production. Yeah. Where, for instance, the blackjack episode where I gambled 66% of my net worth on one hand of blackjack. God forbid, I'm an idiot for doing that. Would I do it again? Don't tell my mother, but absolutely. Before we shot, it was one singular hand of blackjack. Mm-hmm. We shot for 50 minutes before going down to the main lobby.
Really?
We shot us walking down the hallway. Nick flickering the flame of him holding the blunt. Him throwing the little no smoking sign in the trash can. All these little shots we're getting and creating this production. It's almost, in a sense, a movie set that we can then go back in post-production and make it look as if it were one take. When in reality, it's 20 different shots that are cut up into one take.
And the tension that adds to that scene.
So much. It's great. I love it.
So much. And it's so worthwhile. Yeah. Yeah. Good. Right. Nicely done, sir. All right, Jess, we haven't heard from you. Any thoughts, any questions?
Well, I was just thinking, like, I think to Tom's point that, people will, maybe some people will play poker and they're really trying to get to the next thing. And I was just thinking, like, when you go to, I don't know, like sometimes when I go to my poker room, I mean, you see some tables where just everybody looks dull. It's quiet.
Yeah.
They look like, like it's an AA meeting or something that we're at. Like, very, I'm like, why? It's so depressing. Why am I coming here again? Mm-hmm. And it's like, I think it's like, it's like people, I wonder, because like, you get more studied and then, the variance and like, okay, well, and then you get to the point where like, well, I average like whatever it is, like, 10 big blinds an hour. This is what I do. And I'm here just to clock in and clock out. And then we become like pretty results oriented instead of like in the moment, having joy in what we're doing. And I see that applies to a lot of things. Like if we're working for the income it provides, or are we working because like we enjoy being in that space, you know? And I think I don't know. Anyways, I was just reflecting on these things that were coming up.
I think I wholeheartedly agree. The temperament from 1-3 to 2-5, they're two different atmospheres.
Yeah.
A lot of the players pool in 1-3, and I think this is reflected in the comment section. A lot of people that are super negative, that hold these, really negative dispositions, seemingly have nothing positive to say. I think that's actually a projection of the personal life where they're just not that fulfilled with whatever they're doing. And that might be an incorrect assessment, but I think at 1-3, you sit down at a table, everyone is miserable. Like, boys, cheer up. You're off the clock. Sip on a soda and splash around a little bit. My God, what are we doing? We're at 2-5. It feels so much more vibrant. And I don't know if I think that's actually indicative on every aspect of life, where if someone I think the mindset, I think thoughts produce results. I think humans are self-fulfilling prophets, where whatever you hold internally, you're going to actively look for subconsciously. So if you think, hey, this guy's an asshole, your behavior to that person is going to be standoffish and negative, and so that person's going to perceive you as an asshole, and so now he treats you poorly. So now it's actually that thought becomes a reality. Hey, that guy is an asshole. Go you. And now you're fighting outside a bar when in reality he had nothing to do with you.
Interesting. Yeah, that definitely can happen. I think so we've talked a lot about PLO recently on this channel.
I feel like we haven't talked. I have not talked about poker at all. Let's lock in here. Let's go poker.
I'll say this. I've been all in on PLO lately, and and I've like fallen in love. I'm like, oh, this is what it used to feel like to play poker, and I still love playing Hold'em. It's still fun, but like being able to get back into the game, feeling like it's for the very first time. It's been so good, and I've noticed when you play a PLO game in general that there's more of like kind of a casual environment there.
Very much so.
Have you messed with PLO much? And if so, do you find that to be true?
I think the player pool in PLO, at least in New Hampshire, PLO single-handedly killed Texas Hold'em in the state of New Hampshire.
Did it?
Because all of the dust balls who used to play Texas Hold'em said, 2 cards, it, let's double it and make it 4. And they all went to PLO, never to return.
Yep.
But they're all much happier. And I do think PLO, I don't know why, but they just don't. I think maybe because they're recreational and they're playing poker for fun.
Yeah.
So perhaps they're not doing it for a job.
Yep.
They're just there to have a good time.
Yeah.
And their poker play indicates that, but also their attitude is in alignment with that belief. We're just here to gamble, have a good time.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the environment of that game is so much more fun. And we talked about it a while back, but I think it's going to become the future of like, I think we're going to lose Hold'em as the primary thing to play. And eventually it's just going to be, hey, this is it. Like you want to play PLO, you're not going to find Hold'em anymore. I didn't realize that was the case locally for you, but
very much the case,
dude. It just seems like now that I'm playing it, I'm like, I'll play Hold'em. Like I'm excited to play a little bit, but I'd rather play that. It's super fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it could be coming.
I've never enjoyed PLO because it's very much make a hand and get paid, or make a hand and gamble 50-50.
Yeah, sure.
I like Hold'em is so much more interesting for me because it's no limit. You can overbet. You can bluff more. There's a lot more hand combinations you can have. It's easier to range your opponent. Positions matter. And there's so many technical elements of Hold'em that don't necessarily apply to Pot Limit Omaha, where it's just boring.
I think they actually apply more than you realize, because they apply more than I realized. When I started playing, I was like, yeah, but 4 cards changes this and that. And the more I'm playing, I'm like, oh, this is pretty intricate. It gets pretty cool.
I think
pretty
that's
cool.
true for the higher you play, but I think at the baseline threshold for, I guess, recreational players, they'll just get in there and they're like, I mean, if you got it, you got it. Call.
Sure. And every hand they have something, right? So they're like, I have something.
Well, something in the sense of 4 cards. They might have 8 high with a gut shot, and they're in there.
Dude, way more than I thought. As I've been playing, I'm like, oh, people are like, they always have something, and they're willing to hold on way more than I thought they would. So.
I remember last year we did poker, a few poker questions. Do you have that again? Yeah. I would actually like to talk about poker.
Oh, where we were doing the fold or call. Is that what we're doing? Yeah. You know, I have a challenge for you, but then let's do.
Oh, is that the challenge? What's the challenge?
No.
Can I know what it is? I'm on edge.
All right.
I'm excited.
All right. Let's do it. $500 to you. Oh, okay. Hold on. We got a question here.
Okay. Let's let it rip.
It says, Corey, did you get up going to Asia with Frankie?
I did not, because I don't have money. I need money to go to Asia.
So this
and
is
also I also tore my labrum, so I've been working out a lot. My shoulder's currently torn, and I need shoulder surgery, which is like a year recovery, which sucks. But I would like to get that done before WSOP, but that's also a hindrance because I can't even sleep on this side without discomfort, and it's just a dull aching pain. It sucks. Whatever. But yeah, those are the 2 reasons why I didn't go to Asia. Would love to next year, though.
This is actually, we're going to turn this into a fundraising hotline show. So if you want to send Corey to Asia, send your checks in. Corey will give you the address. All right. Let's before I will do some call or fold, but first, here's the challenge: $500.
Okay.
I was listening. So I'm at work. I'm driving in my work truck, and DJ Spotify brings up Benny and the Jets. Right.
Oh.
Everybody knows this song.
Yeah.
But as the words were playing,
I
was like, I don't think I could sing along to this song if I wanted to. Like, everybody can sing Benny and the Jets.
Oh,
but then what comes after that? I have no idea. And I was trying to figure it out, and I thought, I can't figure it out, even attempting to listen to the words. So
I know. I can tell you, actually.
Oh no, you can't.
I can tell you that.
Oh no.
After Benny and the Jets.
Well, that wasn't the part of the song I was going to have you. I'd be impressed. Okay, let's start there. But the challenge is for. Let's see. I was going to give you a different part of it. And
lyrics of the song.
Yeah. You like if you were just to say Benny and the Jets. I mean, I'm not giving you $500 for that.
Benny and the Jets.
Okay, you think that's worth $500?
Absolutely. Give me 250 and we'll call it even.
Not a chance. Okay. So all right, so here's the part of the song. It comes after Benny and the Jets. And I couldn't tell you that these were the words, but I'm going to have you give me the lyrics after this part. It says, "Oh, but they're weird and they're wonderful. Oh, Betty, she's a really keen." If you could say the next bit of lyrics, $500 is coming your way.
Sean, keep your money.
Okay, that's what I figured. The words,
something about a record machine. I remember that.
Tom, Jess, if I would same offer to you guys if you can put this together.
I wouldn't be able to remember it all. But it's something about a record machine, I think.
Hold on. Let me. Are we?
Let me pull your phone out.
No. Can I won't spoil it. I'll go ask Nick the same question. I could bring him in here real quick. I guarantee you we're drawing dead. I guarantee you.
I mean, sure. See if he knows it. The offer was for you.
Okay.
But tell you what, if he knows it,
consolation prize, just for free.
Okay, if he comes in and knows it without any questions,
I won't. I promise I won't spoil it.
Okay, all right.
I'll be. And this is also a convenient excuse to go grab another claw. I'll be right back.
Good.
So, we. Do you know the lyrics to the song? You've obviously heard Benny and the Jets.
Yeah.
What comes after the chorus?
Okay, so here we go. It's
$100. What comes after the chorus?
I'm gonna set you up for it because I was listening to the other day and I could not put it together. So I'll set you up, see if you can get it. He said he does the Benny and the Jets line, and Corey can give you the background.
Benny and the
All right, we follow that up with, oh, but they're weird and they're wonderful. Oh, Benny, she's really keen. And I offered Corey 500 if he could come up with the lyrics. Do you guys know the lyrics that follow that right there?
Don't look it up, you cheating.
I don't know.
Your arm off screen on your phone.
Yeah.
God, I know that song too. I'm just trying to. What the? Sing it.
I don't know it.
Sing it.
I'll tell you right now. I don't know.
Oh, but they're weird and they're wonderful. Oh, Betty, she's really keen.
She got electric boots on my head. It's something like that.
Hey, you
She
started
got-
right.
God, she got electric boots on my Jesus. That's why I want to say that. It's not a word. But she got electric boots.
This is great because this is exactly what I was doing in the car as I was
She
listening
got
to it.
electric boots. You know, I read it in a magazine. Yeah, I just don't know the middle
Dude.
part.
Oh, that was good. The only part you missed was a mohair suit. Which I don't,
See, I knew it's not a word. That's
Yeah.
what it's a mohair. I don't even know what the
I don't know what that is either, but hey, that was close, man. That was really close.
That
She's got electric boots, a mohair
Yeah.
suit. You know, I read it in a magazine.
All right. Thanks, boys.
Nice work. Nice work.
Gotcha.
All right.
Yes,
All right.
sir.
Well done.
Lay off the whatever that is. Godspeed, brother.
Ow!
Godspeed.
All right, Corey, we'll wrap this thing up with some. We'll do some call or fold about the WSOP. We got it coming up.
Love it.
You're definitely going down.
Yes.
Okay. All right. We'll start it off. Well, an easy one here. Buy or sell. I'm sorry. Buy or sell. Call or fold. That's the name of the game when we're playing poker.
The Price is Right, Poker Edition.
The cash games are better than the tournaments at the WSOP.
No.
Okay.
Cash games suck. In the middle of in WSOP, all the cash games are just nit central. They suck. Poker outside of the WSOP, cash games are great. Don't
Okay,
play cash games in during Vegas.
So it doesn't have to be at the Paris, but I'm saying like in general while you're down there,
I
cash
would say
games
tournaments are
or
much better.
tournaments. Tournaments, okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Tournaments, okay. All right, sounds good. All right, and then I'll ask you. This isn't really a call or fold, but okay. No, let me change it. Call or fold. You are going the over under. Let's see. You are going to play over 3.5 tournaments while you're there.
Give me the over, Sean.
The over, okay. Do you have those events picked out already?
I couldn't name 2 events, but we'll figure them out.
Okay. It's a solid no. All right, and then let's see. Let's go over under. Let's go with how many WSOP events you've attended. I'm going to say 2.5. Is it over or under?
Under.
Under. How many have you been to? This will be number 2.
This will be. Oh, I guess it's happy birthday us. This will be number 3. No, I mean, okay, technically over.
This will be over.
I mean, technically it's already over. Technically, I guess it's 3. Last year, I went to the series. In 2021, I played 1 event. I lit $600 into the atmosphere on a singular bullet in 1 event, and that's all that was. Fast forward to Cherokee last year, that I fired a lot in that event, and then I went to Turning Stone WSOP circuit with my brother last month, and I fired 1 event, 1 bullet, 1 event. So technically 3.
I thought you were going to say like you went to Vegas during the WSOP and you ordered a drink or something, and you were going to be like, that counts, right? that was my World Series. All right, go ahead, Tom. No, you got a
I was
question.
just
Fire
wondering
away.
if you're worried now that you've been now that everybody knows you're putting up your entire net worth in a lot of these things. Do you worry about getting exploited in the future by people who watch your videos and go, hey, if I put in enough money, this guy's just gonna collapse?
No, because I've come to terms with the fact that I have to go broke. If it happens, it happens. If it's a bullet, I'm just going to play the game that I think is. I'm just going to make the decisions that I think are correct in the moment, and live.
Okay,
with
so
it.
there's gonna be none more of this 5 deuce.
No more of that.
Okay, all right.
But there might be a world where I end up sticking the chips in, and I lose everything. And I go, hey, Nick, do you actually have a dealing job for me right about now? That's maybe a reality.
I know we were talking about like doing the call or fold, but I am curious. Like, if let's say you go broke tomorrow,
Sure.
What does that look like? Like, are you able to keep making content? Do you know what this looks like, or where you're gonna go, or how
What
this
does
is gonna
that
work?
look like?
Yeah, I mean,
Depression. Like, it's not fun to be broke.
deep despair.
Despair, agony,
Right on.
credit card debt.
All right, cool. Well, Jess, Tom, any other thoughts for Corey before we wrap this thing up and let him go? I hear from what we were talking about ahead of time, you have a hot date with 3 women that you've never met before, and you're heading out to meet them shortly, right?
I have never contacted them. They've never contacted me. I don't even know they exist, and neither do they. But just I'm feeling that there will probably be some women on the horizon.
Okay, so we can't hold you back from that. But any last questions before we send Corey out to meet fate?
Do you think you have a future as like some sort of filmmaker, like documentarian of things maybe outside of poker?
That's a great question. Maybe
some shacks. Get in the water with some shacks.
Yeah. Bankroll's here. Today we're going to go. This is the most venomous snake in all of Central America. It's a singular bite would kill a human in seconds. I'm going to go touch it with a stick.
Well, it just seems to me like the thing that you're trying to perfect the most, like that you're willing to spend unlimited number of hours, and it seems like it goes by really fast, would be the thing that you'd most like. That would be the thing I'd most want to do with my life if I had a choice.
Sure. Yeah, I think I love filmmaking. I do. I like that. So maybe maybe a director some point in the future, 20 years down the line. Who knows?
Right on.
Great question.
All right, Corey. Well, fate awaits you. Best of luck tonight. I hope things go well. Thanks for hanging out. This was fun as always.
This was a lot of fun. I would love to do this in a year from now.
Yeah, sounds good. Let's do it again. Yeah. Shoot. What?
So we had this. We did talk a little bit after the broadcast last time, which changed everything. My perspective then that I shared with you, that was just a seed in my mind, which has now blossomed into, I'd say, a flower.
Absolutely.
I have another seed.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, do share. We're not going anywhere.
In a sense, I'm Conor McGregor calling my shot. Give me a year out. Give me 2 years out. I would love to have 2 to 3 billion channel views with 10 to 15 million subscribers. I see it a lot. I saw Tom's reaction.
Holy cow.
That's a goal that I see in here. And it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Because Casey Neistat, Logan, the Paul brothers, Emma Chamberlain, Trahan, all of these magnificent creators have accomplished that. They're human, so am I. If they can do it, so can I. I think poker is a great lifestyle that not many people are familiar with. So in poker vlogs, they're missing the interestingness. There's so much interestingness in the life of a poker player. We gamble for thousands every single night. That's normal to us. Yeah. But to the average person, my mom is stressed when I go play 1-2. She said, "You're gambling an Xbox? You're betting $300 with 7 high?" And I was like, "Mom, I'm at the bottom of my range. I have to." Like, she just doesn't get it. But I think poker and gambling as a whole, there's always this kind of malevolent side of, the person's shadow that everyone loves it, even if they don't admit it. It's interesting. I'm trying to capture that interestingness, like Molly's Game, Rounders, all those movies. Buying into a game for $2,000. Why does no one show that? Why does no one have a camera? Brad Owen does it. Yeah. Name me another vlogger that shows me going up to a cage, handing them the money, and the cashier counting out the chips. No one experiences that. I think no one puts it in an episode because it's normal to all of the players, but we're not marketing towards players. We're making a movie for someone to showcase what a poker player's life looks like.
Yeah.
And all of
that's
these
so good.
normal elements are actually super foreign to people.
I think you like, like back in, I think it was like over the holidays, you know, you were just filming with like friends and there wasn't a game, like a game you were going to or something. It was just like
Yeah.
a lot more friend shots. And I mean, I think you can get there with that goal just because, I mean, you can broaden it. You can broaden the
Sure,
audience. I think a lot of poker channels are like more for the, you know, the dedicated poker player. And like, these are the hands, this is it, and just frames it. But when you turn the camera, you know, to the left, to the right, you know, to preparation and all of those things, like, and I can see it. I mean, I could see like, and you know what? I mean, you got tons of views of just you and your friends doing whatever, you know? So like, there's something there.
Well, and you know what's interesting is that there's all these like movies and stuff where poker is portrayed as like, so for example, like a James Bond movie, right? They're gonna make James Bond seem like it doesn't matter what cards he has, he's always going to win because he can just soul read everyone at the table. He's unbelievable and all this stuff, and it has no basis in reality for people who are actually playing poker. So for you to be bringing about, here's what poker really is. I know you think it's James Bond, but here's what it really is. I think that's a compelling story. I don't know that everyone will follow it easily, but what I like is that you're going to start introducing people to it. And the four of us can talk in terms of risk management. We can talk about like taking an edge or where you need to like, hey, I'm going for it because it's positive EV.
Yeah.
People don't talk like that
All of these
outside.
factors don't even cross foreigners' mind.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm trying to simplify the game down to where it's digestible for someone who doesn't care about poker to be interested in poker.
I once heard another player say, "I'm not going to eat that ice cream cone. It's negative EV." And I was like, wow, that's like, but he applies everything to his life. He's like, that's negative EV for me. I'm trying to lose weight.
That's so funny.
Yeah. And I'm like, dude, nobody's thinking that way. They're just like, yeah, ice cream cone. I'll have one. You know?
Yeah. Negative EV. Poker terminology is so funny. If you hear someone on the phone in poker, yeah, I just had the nuts. You're like, what are you talking about, dude?
Yeah.
Did you visit like a gay strip club last night? That's probably would go on in the mind of someone who doesn't play poker. Just the terminology is quite wild.
Yeah. It's really weird, but I really think the mindset is different. I like this. I'm excited to catch up with you a year from now and find out that. Oh yeah. Go.
All right,
go.
one more thing. I'll call a shot.
Do it.
So in 2000, whatever happens at the end of this year, I want to take all the money that I have and gamble it on one spin of roulette. Next year, I want to take all of the money that I have and gamble it on one hand of blackjack. So whatever the result is, if I have $1 million, I want to. The goal at the end of 2025 is to have $10 million and put it on one hand of blackjack. I don't know if a single casino will allow that because of the exposure financially to them. Yeah. Maybe we can find one for, I guess, publicity purposes that would willingly accept that bet. That's kind of what I'm hoping Jason can navigate so that I can just focus on making the content. But this is a 2-year plan, 2 to 3 year plan. I am hiring a videographer. I'm trying to hire editors. That's in the near future. I want to create a production team so that I can just focus on making the content. They handle this distribution. Let's take this thing to the moon. That's the goal.
That's awesome. So there's a world where you make $500,000, you put it in roulette, you double your money, you're a millionaire. You don't invest it, you don't do anything with it. You come back the next year, you go broke.
Yes.
Okay. It's hard for my mind to like be okay with that or like wrap my mind around that. But I'm clicking on that video. Everyone's clicking on that video, of course.
Have you seen there's a bunch of reels on Instagram that say, if you win the lottery, what would you do with $1 billion? Would you buy your mom a house? Would you go buy Ferraris? And then music and bass drop comes in like, durr, and the text on the screen just says, $2 billion on red.
And that's your plan.
We're the real life version of that.
Okay. So then the question is, what are you going to put it on? On the roulette wheel, which Oh, okay. You're not going to reveal your strategy?
I already have the answer in my head.
Okay.
But I haven't told anyone.
Okay. All right. We will wait for the answer.
You'll have to wait and
It'll be
see.
worth waiting for.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, dude, thank you so much again for coming and hanging out. This was fun.
Amazing.
This was a lot of
And
fun. Thanks, guys.
Can't wait for a year from now to catch up again.
Yeah, most definitely. I appreciate you.
All right. Go meet the girls of your dreams.
No more. We're off to the races.
All right. See you,
I
buddy.
want to be young
All
again.
right. Thanks, guys.